Good evening. Please join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join in a moment of silence for our fallen servicemen and women. Thank you. We're going to begin this evening with some happy news. I'll turn it over to Chief Taunton. I see we have a volunteer firefighter on for board approval.
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Trustees. I'm happy to introduce Francis McLaughlin. Francis McLaughlin was raised in Garden City and is a recent graduate of Colgate University, where he graduated with a degree in biochemistry. He recently was hired as a medical assistant at Nassau Pediatric Associates, and he's applying to med school and hopes to enroll in the fall of 2025. He wanted to join the fire department in order to give back to the community and serve to those in time of need. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for volunteering. As I have said before, there are many volunteers in the community, but no position is more impactful than the one that you have signed up for. So thank you for making that choice and serving the village. Do we have a motion to approve? All in favor? And the board approves. Welcome and thank you. All right, so next on the agenda, we have the quick resident comments. And what that is, it's an opportunity. If there's anyone here in the room who is unable to stay for the meeting, perhaps you have someplace else you need to get to, but you'd like to quickly make a comment before you leave, you can do that at this time. They're limited to a minute each, and I'll ask if there's anyone in the room with a quick resident comment. Okay, there are no quick resident comments. At this time, we'll move on to the comments by the department heads, beginning with Mr. Baroni.
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Trustees. DPW will be covering 13 items on the agenda this evening. I'd like to direct your attention on the Public Works. Item 11 is a request to adopt the 2021 Nassau County Hazard Mitigation Plan as the Village of Garden City's Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan. This adoption is necessary to continue the process of applying for a hazard mitigation grant to reconstruct the Cedar Valley Sanitary Lift Station. Item number 12 is a request to adopt 2 standardization resolutions. One is for Trojan, where the village purchased a specialized AOP treatment equipment to meet the need of the new drinking water regulations. This will allow the village to purchase replacement parts for these units that are only made by this company. The other is for US peroxide, which is the chemical used in the AOP process, and other special injection and monitoring equipment only compatible for the equipment installed. Item 13 is a request to approve 3 water department employees to attend the NYAWWA Operators Symposium at a total cost of $255. This is a one-day seminar, and the employees will receive continuing education units towards the renewal of their health department certificates. Item number 14 is a request to accept a maintenance bond in the amount of $296,491.15 for the Main Avenue landscaping project. Acceptance of this bond guarantees work for 18 months from the date of acceptance. The Village Council has reviewed and approved the maintenance bond as to form. Item number 15 is a request to approve the purchase of a new vacuum truck at a cost of $626,089. The approved budget for the current fiscal year includes the purchase of a new vacuum truck to replace the older one used in DPW operations. The existing vac truck is aging and advancements in technology necessitate an upgrade. The new vac truck will feature a larger tank to hold more water or debris, and the setup will improve efficiency and safety of our workers. It will be utilized during heavy rainfall, routine cleaning of catch basins, and water jet cleaning of drain lines. Additionally, it can be used for excavation to install new structures, reducing the need for a backhoe and minimizing potential damage to existing utilities. Item number 16 is a request to apply for a New York State DEC grant to purchase the vacuum truck mentioned in the previous item number 15. The maximum award amount for this grant is $325,000. Item number 17 is a request to declare an emergency to perform required upgrades to the fire sprinkler system at the DPW Municipal Yard and to engage Evolution Piping at a cost of $332,500 to perform the emergency upgrades. Currently, there is a safety issue at the DPW Municipal Yard building because the current fire sprinkler system does not have the water pressure and volume required to support adequate fire protection for the building. Additionally, there is no backflow prevention device on the system, which could create a potential health and safety risk for the public. Furthermore, the fire sprinkler system needs to be modified to comply with local and state codes. Item number 18 is a request to approve the proposal submitted by H2M in the amount of $64,000 for professional engineering services to design and oversee water main replacement projects on Kellum Place, 3rd Street, and areas along Franklin Avenue. These projects have been identified due to deficiencies found within the distribution system, which include undersized water mains and non-working control valves used for emergencies. Item number 19 is a request to approve the proposal submitted by H2M in the amount of $33,600 to prepare and submit an engineering report to the Nassau County Health Department so that our sampling requirements may be reduced. These samples are a huge expense to the village, and we are requesting that the frequency be reduced after years of tests that show non-detect results. Additionally, this proposal will be for assistance with troubleshooting AOP problems. Item number 20 is a request to approve proposal submitted by H2M in the amount of $13,600 to complete inspection services and health department submissions for the Clinton Road Blower Project during a recent upgrade. Additional work on this project was required due to both health department requirements as well as outdated, unusable electronic control systems. Item 21 is a request to approve a change order for an estimated amount of $100,000 for the water main replacement on Clinton Road between Commercial Avenue and Meadow Street. The Nassau County Department of Public Works is requiring that the village perform final restoration of the road patches due to the water main construction. Item number 22 is a request to award the first renewal of the bid for work uniforms to Unipro. Work uniforms are purchased on an as-needed basis, and work uniforms are used by various departments in the village. And finally, item number 23 is a request to create a new capital project, Toll Lodge Rehabilitation, to approve a transfer in the amount of $160,000 from contingency and to accept the letter from Rapid Construction to rescind their bid and to award the bid to New Safeway Construction at a cost of $114,725 for the Toll Lodge rehabilitation. The work included in the contract is to replace the roof and associated fascia boards, gutters, exterior cleaning and painting, interior painting and flooring for the basement level, first floor, second floor, and kitchen area and stairs. That's all the items I have on the agenda this evening. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Yes.
Good evening. How are you?
Good.
Good
Yeah.
to see you as always. I got a good few questions because there's a lot on here, obviously, in regards to understanding some of this stuff that's on the agenda. So I'll make it as brief as I can. And again, it's as much so the public understands what some of this stuff as far as it is for me. On number 14 there, the landscaping, can you just give us a 1 minute rundown of exactly what that is? Is it work that's been done, gonna be done? Just give us the quick 1 minute analogy if you can, please.
Sure. This is work that was completed as part of the reconstruction of the Maryline Avenue train station where we closed the cut through at Houston Road. These trees were planted, the work is completed. We are now accepting the work and then a maintenance bond that guarantees the work for 18 months.
Gotcha. I thought so. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Just to interrupt that, we're waiting for reimbursement for the railroad on that amount of money as well.
Okay,
We
great.
put in for it.
And is there a high probability of we getting that, especially the way the railroad operates?
I'm gonna fight for it.
Yeah. The next one, John, vacuum truck, obviously an expensive product. I know it was in the capital budget. The importance of this truck, it sounds like it could save us an enormous amount of money over a lot of years. Can you give us the 1 minute analogy on that?
Sure, this truck is very important to our operation. We use it almost daily for routine catch basin cleaning. The current way it's set up, the reel is the hose reels in the back, which positions our workers as cars are coming at them. So the new truck will have the hose reel in the front, which offers them protection. They'll have some arrows, right, to direct traffic around it. We also use it from excavation projects. We used it at the wall we're building on Plattsdale Road. There was a big gas main in the way. They didn't want us digging any holes. We vacked out the hole. We put our basin for the new light. So it worked out very well. Obviously safe for the workers, and we're not digging holes into existing utilities.
Great.
So yeah, it is a very important. We also use it for heavy rainfalls, flooding areas. We'll go out, we'll protect property,
Great.
no flooding.
And how many years can you get out of a truck like that?
Approximately 10 years.
Oh, yeah, that's a good guess. That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. Great, terrific. And then applying for a grant, obviously, maybe get some money from that lovely lady, Mrs. Hokel, from the state. Is that,
Yes, sir.
Is that what that looks like?
Yep, not guaranteed, but we'll try.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. And then obviously this emergency that's came up here in the DPW yard, a nice chunk of money as well. The need for doing that right away, can you give us the your 2 cents on that, please?
Absolutely. So Mr. Carey from the water department, they performed some flow tests on the hydrants, and it resulted in low water pressure and a reduced volume. That's not, does not support adequate fire protection for the building. So we'll need to install a booster pump, jockey pumps. We'll need to install a backflow device, as well as replace approximately 400 sprinkler heads throughout the building. We'll also need to install new tamper switches and flow switches that will be tied to the new fire alarm system. Currently, if a sprinkler head goes off, it does not relay that message to central station, and the fire department will not respond because they don't know the alarm's going off.
Gotcha. And this is the main building on Cherry Valley Avenue, obviously, right?
That's correct.
Gotcha. And how does this tie in with the fire marshal? And right now, is it in compliance with the fire marshal, or is this outside?
The current sprinkler system is not in compliance with the fire marshal, and they will not approve our current fire alarm system until the sprinkler system gets resolved.
Yeah, so it's not like we have a lot of options here, right?
No, not at
Okay,
all.
gotcha. Okay, dokes.
Let me interrupt my dear colleague here. What is the present system that is at the yard with regard to either sprinkler and or an alarm system?
So we just upgraded the fire alarm system, so it is brand new. The current sprinkler system is a wet system. Both systems originally were installed, not permitted by the fire marshal. We just didn't apply for it. I guess the building's too old. So, so yeah, it's a wet system, and it currently doesn't have enough pressure to fully operate if the sprinkler was to go off.
Now, the alarm system is new. Now,
Correct.
what type heads do they have with regard to either high limit switches, smoke detectors, or what?
I would have to check on that with the design and get back to you for that answer.
Okay, because a high limit switch would basically be in an area in which you have a rate of rise that is sufficient to turn it off, because that garage probably will kick out a whole lot of either smoke or heat.
That's correct. We installed a new Vesda system throughout the garage with samples all the air at a certain rate. So it's a good system.
That's always nice to hear.
So John, just continuing there, 19 and 20, just a quick briefing there as to why we have to do this and how does it benefit the village?
Sure. So number 19 is a request to reduce the frequency of sampling due to the AOP project. Currently, we spend, I think Mr. Carey said approximately $100,000 a year or more on water sampling. So by doing this would greatly reduce our cost due to reduced sampling requirements.
Good.
We currently don't have the capability to perform this engineering report or supply this engineering report in-house, which is
Gotcha.
why we're going out. to-
Basically, we're doing this basically, and does this report go to the state then, and then we're able to, would that
It would go to the Nassau County Health Department
goes
and
NASA first?
hopefully they give us the approval.
Gotcha, great. And then number 20?
Number 20 is, it's just additional work that needed to be performed as part of the Airstripper Tower project for Clayton Road. Again, the health department, mandated us additional requirements as part of the project. And there were some outdated electronic control systems that needed upgraded.
Gotcha.
I think Mr. Carey would be better to answer that.
So this is the water department.
That's correct.
Gotcha, yeah. Okay, great. And a quick update for the residents on the Clinton Road project that's been ongoing and is going to continue for a while. Just
Sure.
in regards to when we can anticipate, now that we're talking about the additional patchwork that they're making us do, Nassau County is, right?
Yes.
When do we think the patchwork will be complete?
So currently, the village water main is base to grade. So it's pretty flush, pretty level right now. Banker Construction will be out there working on behalf of National Grid. They need another 2.5 weeks. Once Banker has completed, we will tell Pratt to get out there right away and mill and pave our portion of the water main project, which will then be followed by Banker's milling and paving, which I don't exactly know what date that'll be.
Gotcha, yeah. Yeah, we talked about that, and that'll bring us from Meadow all the way up to Commercial, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, and then the start of the new water main from Stewart up to Old Country.
Correct. That work
Just
has
started.
begun already. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Great. Yeah, no, I think that's that's good.
You're finished, trustee Muldoon? I just wanted to ask him about the toll house rehabilitation. Are you happy, confident with the contractor that you've now awarded the bid to?
Yes, we had a pre-award meeting with the contractor, reviewed all the specifications,
Mhm.
and they are on board.
And these are necessitated repairs that we're doing on there. Excuse me.
Correct, yes.
And basically, Bruce, I met them there. The contractor we're going to hire went through all the details and just kind of confirmed, make sure everything that we want to do is in there. And yeah, basically, it's simple. We're restoring a historical building in the middle of the village, so it looks like what it used to back in 1989 and back in 1920 as well. And again, it's a historical building in the middle of town, and it needs it badly. And price-wise, if you compare it to some of the other things on the docket, I think we're getting good value because we got prices, I think, somewhere from the late 90s up to 290,000. Shocker. So I think for what these guys are going to do value-wise and how it's going to look when it's all landscaped and flowers, I think it's going to go from more of a derelict looking building to an amazing, beautiful looking building like it used to be. So that's the key. And then we'll take it from there.
I just want to thank trustee Muldoon for the time he's put into this project. And I know he's been, meeting with John Baroni on it. It's something I'm really excited about. The last board, I made a point of bringing everyone to meet there and the present board as well. And, to see how the decline of that building was really hard. And I'm excited to see that we're going to be bringing it back to, what it should be for the
Yeah.
community. So
No.
thanks for your work on that.
No, thanks, Mary. It's a team effort, though. Like I said, there's no I in team. It takes a team to make this happen, and I think it'll be a lovely, beautiful place again for people to go and visit, and it's a great piece of history in town as well. So we're killing a lot of birds with one stone.
Just a caveat, is that building ADA compliant?
Right now,
Bingo.
public to enter, no. There are issues there in regards to the bathroom, a ramp getting into the first floor. Your best case scenario is the first floor. So again, there are issues there, but right now we're working on restoring the outside, cleaning up the inside, and then making some decisions as we go through the construction project is, can we bring it up to ADA compliant, which we've talked to Giuseppe about, and we've still have discussions to be had on that.
That's always a challenge.
Yeah, it is, yeah, especially with an old building that was never designed for today's codes and regulations.
Any other questions? Ms. Baroni? Thank you, Mr. Baroni. And Ms. Wu, who has a treasurer's report. Thank you for all the work on that. Such important information for all of us in the community at large as we sit here voting on money and bonds so often. So thank you for the work.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Tonight on the agenda, item number 1 is a transfer of funds a request of $2,100 from the Fire and Police Retirement Account from the Employee Retirement Account. This is to fund a slight shortfall in the 23-24 fiscal year. The budget for this was a little over $2.7 million, and the actual came in $2,100 higher than that. Item number 2 is an appropriation of termination reserves, requesting that the board approve an appropriation of $24,671.75 from the reserve for compensated absences to termination payout to fund the payout to an employee who has left village service in the Justice Court Department. Item number 3 is an appropriation of revenue for the police department. As you may recall, a few weeks ago, the police department requested and received a grant in the amount of $465,000 from New York State. We're requesting to appropriate that funding into the police department technology account so that they can purchase their law enforcement technology and equipment. Item number 4 is a bond resolution for water main improvements project in the amount of $2,178,000. This bond resolution is directly related to item number 18 that Mr. Baroni spoke about, and that's that project. Item number 18, of course, is the design for the water main project. The entire project is expected to cost around $2,100,000. Item number 5 is to redate the bond resolution that the board approved on the June 12th meeting in the amount of $7 million for the Cedar Valley Sewer Lift Station. It turns out that when this bond resolution was published in the paper, the wrong amount was used. Therefore, per bond counsel, we need to readopt this bond resolution for the correct amount and then, of course, publish it for the correct amount as well. And those are the items I have on the agenda. Are there any questions?
Are you sharing the treasurer's report later?
So are you speaking of the debt
Oh,
report?
I just saw it was on the agenda and I know we all got it, so I didn't know if you were planning to. share
Oh,
that.
that's always on the agenda.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
will not be sharing one tonight.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Ms. Wu. Mr. Giovanelli?
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Trustees. The Building Department doesn't have anything on the formal agenda this evening, but I just wanted to give the board work performance for the month of June. The Building Department has inspected 233 inspections, issued 136 building applications, addressed 30 complaints, and has collected a total of 196,000 in fees for the month of June. Just a few updates. Clearwood Hall, we had the new railing installed, so that new railing there is code compliant. I'm not sure if the board had a chance to look at that, but that is code compliant. We added a third rail on there to make it easier and safer for the public to enter the building. And the second thing is here is the Edgemere Firehouse. We did receive the drawings and cost estimate. That is 90% complete. We're still waiting for them to finalize the specifications, and then we can put the project out to bid and get a total number on the project. If the board wants to execute that number and that project, we can discuss that. But that's all I have, Mayor. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. And just as far as the firehouse, and I suppose trustee Chester could speak to this, I've spoken with some of the other trustees. We're going to have a sit-down meeting and kind of look through where we're at now and the budget, because it's coming a little high and.
Absolutely, love that.
And with the
Sure.
chief, of course, prioritized. So thanks for the work on that, and we'll be meeting before. We hope to do that, have a nice sit-down before the August meeting.
Sure thing. Thank you.
Yeah, that would work out great. Maybe in a week and a half when I get back.
You're
Thank you, Giuseppe.
welcome.
Did you, I can, or did you want to just make a quick comment about the public hearing on the solar panels?
I'm gonna,
All right,
Gary, you want to say something on solar panels or? I just got that late this afternoon, so I didn't get a chance to review the whole thing.
Wait till we get around
wait,
to.
that's fine, then we'll wait.
council.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Giuseppe, I got one easy one for you.
Sure.
How we doing on the long overgrown grass in town? Your favorite topic.
Favorite topic, what, application? Because we, we sent
No, I'm just talking about
notices throughout.
some of the ones that we've been dealing with over the last month or so. Looks like from driving around town myself, which I do quite a bit, we got the majority of them under control.
So we do, we do.
Yeah.
We sent notices to Sixth Street, Hilton. So we do have a few of them under control. These are some of the projects that are on during construction.
Yeah.
And sometimes the gates are closed and landscapers can't act on, getting to the property. So
Yeah.
I think we're hopefully staying on top of them now and we should be,
Great.
on our
No,
way.
terrific. That's
Yeah.
great.
But
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
On that related topic, I did address in the mayor's column this week, and we put out a notice regarding shrubs overgrowing the sidewalks, which is a complaint we hear about. Everyone's out walking, kids riding bikes. It's important to have the sidewalks cleared. So we put out hopefully a nice, simple, clear explanation. We appreciate people calling and telling us if you see an obstructed sidewalk and laying out, it is a violation of the code and the steps we'll take, notifying the homeowner so they can remedy it. If they do not, and I recall us buying, I think we bought a tool specifically to make this easier. We'll go and we will trim the hedge and bill the homeowner. So you
Yep.
may be getting some calls because we did.
That's
push
great.
that out.
Working together with Mr. Blake here. We are on two-team effort, so we're on top of it.
All right. Anything else for Mr. Giovanelli? All right,
That's
thank
it,
you.
Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Blake.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees, and everyone in attendance. On that topic, I think we sent out either 10 or 11 notices this week on shrubs. So we are staying on top of it. Most people are complying. I think we've only had to cut 2 hedges this spring, so we're getting ahead on it. We have one item on the agenda this evening. That is item number 10 under recreation. It is the renewal of a bid. This is award for what we call casual clothing. This is for polo shirts, T-shirts, sweatshirts for our part-time and seasonal staff. This is the second renewal of a bid, so we are getting prices from 2 springs ago, and we have one more renewal on top of that. And these are purchased on an as-needed basis. That's all we have on the agenda this evening. We have a couple of things going on in the village this week. As you came in, you heard a concert out there. We have 3 more on Thursday nights. Saturday night, we have the party under the stars at the pool. And for those of you that live near neighborhood playgrounds, we have some shows and activities going on there all for the next 2 weeks. Tonight, the bubble truck is out at Hemlock Park, so that should be a lot of fun. That's all I have this evening. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you. Looks great. All of the events, fantastic.
Absolutely.
Great work by Recreation.
People out there.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Any questions? All right, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Blake. Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing on the agenda besides number 3 that was covered by Irene. I'd just like to give you the June activity. We had 2,326 service calls, 64 case investigations, 13 arrests, 140 medical calls, 99 traffic crashes, 1,008 moving tickets, 2,288 parking tickets, 12 appearance tickets, and 9 vehicle impounds. Had a very busy month. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
I got one question for you. Probably on some people's minds. You guys are, or did a great job handling the situation again on Friday night with all these
Miscreants.
young people coming into our village on Friday night. Have you any thoughts on that, or can you share any thoughts on that? Besides, obviously, you guys did a great job handling that. That's a lot of people coming in here on a Friday night.
Yes, we, every week we try to change it up, but last week we, had a little different game plan. We put an undercover team out there, which helped. So 2 youths were brought in and released to their parents on, some violations that they were performing. Other than that, we had no complaints called in last week, and I think that's because of the, officers and the way we positioned them. And, we're gonna be continuing that this week. And we're gonna keep working out on this to, there's a lot of kids, but like I said, we were surprised that we had no calls. And I think that's due to the officers really working hard and moving everybody around. So we're gonna continue that, and we're gonna continue working
We work with John and we work with the rest of the board and trying to keep everything status quo.
Yeah, great. Thanks. And thanks to your squad and all the police officers. It's not an easy job. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Apparently, it's necessitated now on the Friday nights, unfortunately, so I'm glad we're doing that, and hopefully it'll cut it down a bit going forward.
So on that issue, we have heard, for anyone watching, we've heard your complaints. We know people are concerned with the crowds. And we are trying to figure out, it's not just us, it's happening in New Jersey, the beaches, Long Beach, and it seems it may in part be a social media element. In the past, you couldn't announce a party, or invite, thousands of people at one time. So we are, I've been speaking with the commissioner and with council and amongst the trustee members, and we're trying to figure out how we can best stay on top of this and try and reduce the crowd issues we've seen. So thanks for your work on that, and we'll keep at it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner and Chief Town.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Board of Trustees. The Fire Department does not have any topics on the agenda this evening, but for informational purposes, we want to let you know the Fire Department responded to 123 fire alarms in the month of June. As always, we like to provide some safety tips. July is the peak month for grill fires, so we encourage everyone to always inspect and clean out their grills prior to use. Please keep them away from siding and the houses, as well as porches. And please don't use any propane or charcoal barbecues inside your house due to the high risk of carbon monoxide poisoning. So thank you. Happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Thank you. Thanks for everything you're doing. Okay.
And thank you for the review of the house fire on Meadow Street. And I think it's excellent you do that and you go over all the different details and things you had to do, particularly with the younger firefighters. Sure.
All right, Mr. Fishberg.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. On the formal agenda, number one is to set a date for a public hearing for the next board meeting, August 15th. This is a hearing on revisions to the supplementary use regulations for solar energy systems. I believe that a copy of the proposed law is placed on each desk tonight. I also sent out an email with the proposed law earlier this evening, and hopefully if anybody has any questions or comments, please bring them forward before the next board meeting. Let's do it earlier so that if there are any questions, comments, any revisions that are necessary, we can make those revisions in advance of the next board meeting. I have nothing more.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Celia Peterson and James Bauer in particular and the rest of the ADRB for their work on this. It is with the changing technology, they recognize the importance of having a code. They have researched and helped to draft one. So I look forward to being able to address this, and I thank them for their work. And thank you, Mr. Fishberg, for your assistance as well. We have Mr. Swazi.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees, residents. Mayor, I have no items on the agenda, but there are 3 items for the Garden City Library. The executive director is here, but by way of introduction, I will just cover them quickly. And if you have additional questions, Mary Ann can come up and answer, and I'll assist as needed. The first item is item 7, the Garden City Public Library carpeting, transfer of funds, and engagement of professional services. The library had a capital project for this fiscal year of $50,000. The scope of the project, put down new carpeting, has expanded. The new price is $161,049.46. To make up the difference in the funds, they are pushing off their teen room rehabilitation, which gives them $45,000 to add to that $50,000. And then they need an additional $66,049.46. Ed Raw has, Assemblyman Ed Raw is going to give them $30,000 in September, which leaves a difference of $36,049.46 that they would need from the village to make up the gap for that 161. So it's 50 plus 45 plus 30 from Assemblyman Raw. They're asking for a transfer of $36,000 from the village. Item number 8, this is back from 2021. When the new board took office back in 2021, the library children's room renovation was really gearing up, and the new board wanted to see some new renderings, which 2 new renderings which they produced, and also attend the public meeting. The total for those 3 things, the 2 renderings and the appearing at the meeting, were $3,600. It was at the request of this board. The POs were never cut, though. It was okayed by the library board, and the library proceeded. They came and did the work, but it never made it through the system. So this is just money that we owe them. The second thing is number 9. We had a contract with H2M where they get a percentage, a professional service fee of 8% on the final construction cost. Since the scope of the project had increased, this last $4,276.73 squares that account. Total, these 2 agenda items 8 and 9 total $7,876.73. The children's project has about $9,100 in the existing capital account, so this is covered by that. The only other items I have, Mayor, is, as you know, the police department, the recreation, and DPW requested grants from Senator Thomas's office. The police requested $180,000 for police vehicles. Mr. Blake requested $153,000 for a senior bus, and I requested on behalf of DPW $180,000 for the sidewalk on the east side of Cherry Valley from 6th Street to Cathedral Avenue. All 3 grants are now processed. I processed mine yesterday. Just so you know that the total of these grants we submitted, we asked for was $513,000, but the actual submission for the costs that, because the sidewalk's not as much as we thought it, we should get back $468,000, which is what we're spending. The last thing, Mayor, is you had asked me to pursue additional grants, and as you can see, Mr. Baroni's active with the vac truck. Mr. Carey's active looking for a grant for the lift station. I contacted Congressman Anthony Esposito's office looking for brownfield grants from the EPA, because BCI identified the interior hazardous materials within St. Paul's would fall into the brownfields program. And Mr. Esposito's district director, Matthew Peccione, sent me back an email last week with a link to a federal website, which is chock full of funds and funding opportunities for the current year and next year. I have not scratched the surface with that, but I will delve into that. I also reached out to Congressman Tom Suozzi's office, my cousin. I received a call back from his Washington office, and I asked for the same help. They are researching that. They have people researching it. I also asked for other bread and butter municipal needs, such as water mains, things that we need every day, things that we can either apply for directly to the federal government, or things that we can, that funded to the states, that we can apply to the state programs for federal funds. So I'm waiting to hear back on that. That's all I have, Mayor.
The grant for 468 was, 468,000 was for what? I kind of.
The $468,000 is the net proceeds we will get from the CREST grants from Senator Thomas's office. 180 for the police department, 153 for a senior bus, and approximately 135 for the sidewalk, which we originally estimated at 180. So it came in much less.
Okay.
These are ones, they're called CREST grants, but we're working with the Dormitory Authority, State of New York now. They're the ones who take over once the application is in, and we're dealing with them. So mine went in yesterday, commissioners, and Mr. Blake's went in a few months ago.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. Thank you for the work on that. I think we all recognize how important it is to get every bit of funding we can with all the expenses here. And I was really pleased that BCI raised that Brownsfield funding as an issue. And I'm hoping we can maybe get some more information that is coming, that's imminent, the abatement. So if we can hopefully try and fast track that and know more by the next meeting, that would be terrific. Thanks for your work on that.
Welcome, Mayor.
Ralph, I got one thing for you.
Yes, Trustee Muldoon.
It would make my day to see some federal funds come back our way after all the money we've sent them over the years. So that'd be good news if we could get some grant money from them. And when it comes to the St. Paul's project, that's certainly something we've all talked about, is research and try to get every dollar we can in regards to grants, whether it's related to historical or anything else, you know, from the state and the federal government. So that's something we gotta really dig our heels in here as we go through the
Just so
summer
you
and the
know,
fall.
Grants by nature are, they're great to get, but federal funds come with a lot of strings attached.
Yeah, I know that.
They're a
Yeah.
lot harder to obtain.
You got you.
Take a lot longer, but it's worth it if you get it.
Yeah, it all depends on what you're getting.
It could be millions. It's
There
gonna be
you go.
millions.
Thanks, Ralph. Thank you.
All right, so thank you. And Ms. Malagon, thank you for joining us, the library, and for all you've been doing over the last, it's really been a transformation over there at the library. It's a very special place to the village.
Thank you.
And
Couldn't do it without all of your help. I appreciate it.
we appreciate all the work you're doing. And if you want to speak a little bit more, because some of the questions, I know we're all aware of the beautiful renovation when you walk in on the right side of the library, and then you turn to the left and the carpet is dated. And I guess if you want to just go through a little bit, it looks like the shortfall ends up being 36,000 of funding that's needed in order to make this happen. If you want to just give an overview of what it would mean for the library and how you think it would help with the overall building appearance.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. First of all, I do want to thank the village administrator and Ralph and John and Irene for their help in preparing this item, because it really did take a team effort. And I've also worked very closely with members of the library board that are here with me tonight. We really did pitch in. I realized the initial estimate, it would have been better if it was all inclusive. And what I started out with was looking at that stark gray line down the middle. And then I noticed that if you stand at the top of the stairs, you can see it on the stairs and you can see it on the second floor. You can see it when you open administration. And I've heard it said by members of the board that, you know, you need to do a project, you know, with a full thought, do it the right way the first time, do it complete and in full to really get the right impression across. And I do think that this project would do that. I did originally seek alternates in the bids, but I think that the whole project is the better way to go. The library board transferred money from a project we've deferred for a while and need to give further thought to. And also at a previous budget session, I was asked when I can provide outside aid. And this time I did provide $30,000 bullet aid, which is a more significant sum than a lot of other libraries got in the bullet aid cycle. So we contributed that as well. So we're closer to the goal, but we're not there. And I know the board's been very generous to us in the past, and I will appreciate your support tonight if we receive it on this project as well. Thank you.
All right,
Do you have any other questions?
I should have also, I see the members of the library board in the room as well. Thank you so much. I know you're all working volunteers so hard and really appreciate everything you're doing over there at the library. Thank you. So do any of the trustees have any questions on the library carpet project?
I have one comment on it. I met with the majority of the board members of the, I don't think this is on, sorry. I met with the majority of the board over at the library today. We had a great meeting, and these guys are doing a great job, and the library looks great. Looks great from the outside. The flowers, Paul Blake, the more the merrier. We love flowers, so it looks great. The planters, the whole works. My only view was I met with them today and we had a great walk around and a great chat. And this kind of falls under my purview a little bit in regards to what I do. And my thoughts was just to stay in budget on this particular scenario was they have 50. We got another 45, which is 95. My opinion, it's just my opinion and my view, nobody else's, is to just do the first floor now and do the staircases, do a beautiful job, and then leave the second floor till next year, because that gives you the ability to stay in budget, you know, and still, you know, have a great long-term plan, wait a year and do the second floor. That keeps you in budget. That was just my view, my opinion from seeing the premises today. It certainly could be done. But again, that's just my view. But it certainly needs to be done. There's no question in my mind. It needs to be done. I just would probably prefer, just me personally, to do it in 2 phases, stay in budget, do it in 2 phases, do the first floor and the staircase this year and do the second floor next year. But again, that's just my 2 cents. So, but thank you for everything. You guys are doing an amazing job over there. And it's going to continue to be a much better library over the next 2, 3, 4 years with all your hard work. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Here's my 3 cents. And that is, I've sat through board meetings for the last 7 years. And similar to the one that we had today, we have money being moved over for contingency. We have had change orders. There has been all manner of needs for different departments, different pieces of equipment. I don't believe that the delay in doing the job so that we leave half the carpeting in place is the proper way to do a job. All due deference. Because what I will see as the library trustee is everybody coming in saying, why is the building doing half the job? I don't see any of the residents as they come in the building saying, oh, the trustees are doing a great job. They're only doing half the job and they're going to put over the expense to the next year, which we know that we need to do. Accordingly, I believe that the betterment of the library inures to all of us. And in order that we can do the job once, that we stage it correctly once and complete it once is better than having it all staggered out. Because I don't know what the budget will look like next year. Accordingly, I would believe that doing the job now for what I consider to be a relatively minor sum, considering what the agenda has looked like so far today, is the right way in going it.
Thank you.
I'm going to be more in line with Vinnie on this one. Being in my role where I'm looking at the bills that come in and signing off on them, the library has been spending an awful lot of money. And really not staying within budget. And it's for a variety of reasons, and I'm not a cheapskate, and I like to see things look really good and really nice. But I'm of the mindset where we can do half of it and leave the second floor to be done next year within next year's budget. But the library has got a lot of expenses, whether it's on the legal side of things or whether it's on just all the different reworking and projects that we've done. And I think I'm of the mindset that I think we can wait and go within budget.
All right, so I'll even off the comments. Here we go. Which is good, right? I think that's a value of this board is that we do disagree, sometimes softly, sometimes vehemently, but we get where we need to go. So I would be more in line with Trustee Torino and his statement for a couple of reasons. One is, it does feel to me exactly what you're saying would happen, where people would be like, wait a minute, now you did the downstairs, the carpet is old, the library needs renovation. I appreciate the grant and I would encourage, and I'm sure you are, doing all you can to get more of that, because that will make a big difference to us from a budgetary perspective and also give you some flexibility maybe to do some things we hadn't thought of before. So I would support this with the caveat, right, that staying within budget, especially for the rest of this year, we'll it's a gimme here because I think it's a really good project and needs to get done. But I would assume, that 6 months from now, there's not going to be a request to do the teen room that we took the money from to move here, that kind of thing. So just keeping that in mind, I think is important, but I would support this project as well.
Yeah, I guess we're all gonna talk, so I'll talk. I'll make it 3-2 at this point. I would support the project, but I do share Michelle's, Trustee Harrington's concern with the library's budget. Try to keep expenses within realm. And what Trustee Courtney just said in terms of the teen room, let's get the rug done, get it finished, and go from there, because it is a look that we probably need.
All right, so it may have been obvious in the beginning, but I support the project as well. So at this point, I'm going to remove this item from the agenda and we can vote on the carpet for the library room. That's item number 7 on the agenda. Is there a motion to approve item 7?
Make a motion.
Okay, all in favor? We have 4 in Oh, no, we don't have to vote to remove. Sorry, I can just remove it. So now we're going to vote. There's a motion now to approve the transfer of funds and engagement of professional services for the Garden City Public Library carpeting. All in favor? And all opposed? All right, so that was 4-2. There being 2 absent, that would make it a tie vote, and I will vote in favor to break the tie. And that passes.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything. Did you want to say anything, trustee Muldoon, about the advisory committee item?
Yeah. Thank you. Just an update on the, on our advisory board that we're trying to build for the St. Paul's project. We have got some resumes in so far. They seem pretty good, the majority of them, for sure. But we want to make sure that we're sending out an invite over the next couple of weeks to the entire village in regards to people who are qualified in these different fields that may not have heard about it, who may not have been at these board meetings or listening on the Zoom, and giving them an opportunity to send in their resumes. Again, we're looking for people who are qualified in these certain sectors that can help us with the development of St. Paul's as we move the process forward over the next 6 months or whenever. So we're going to plan on advertising in the paper and online and pretty much touch as many places as we can so the residents can see this. And again, if they feel like they want to volunteer their time, they're qualified and they can help us in this venture, we'd love to hear from them, and they can go ahead and send in their resumes, and we'll go from there. So Carissa is going to help us on that. She's already developed something that looks really good, and going to send that out, hopefully starting next week's paper. That would be my goal. So we'll put it in the paper for 2 weeks, and we'll advertise it for 2 weeks, and then try and get whoever is interested and wants to help us, that's qualified in these different fields, hopefully get their resumes back probably no later than the 3rd week of August, because I'd love by early September to be able to really figure out the advisory board and then sit down and start the process. So that's just an update on that. Look forward to it, and I think we'll have a great team of volunteers that will really help us move some of these balls forward as we're going through the process. So thank you for that, and thanks to Carissa and Mary for the help on that.
Yeah, I think advertising is a great idea. Trustee Muldoon will hopefully get more applicants that way.
So at this point in the agenda, do we have any other trustee comments on any items before we go to citizen comments on agenda items? I think we've commented throughout. Yes.
Just a quick comment. I know we talked and Mr. Fishberg brought up on the solar panel items. I did want to say that the revisions to that code, which we will discuss in August as well, and we'll have a presentation on that. The code remains fairly much the same in terms of panels need to be hidden. They need to be in the back of the house. They're not visible by the street. They are a common color to what the roof is, et cetera. So I didn't want people to think that we're making any major adjustments to that. It's more about ensuring that we have the guidelines in place to help people follow the code and understand it, and adding a little bit more stringent application qualifications to the code itself. But that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for your help with that, trustee Courtney. All right, do we have any citizen comments on agenda items in the room? Yep.
Hey, I'm sorry, I have to leave. Can I?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Mr. Wilton. How did I miss that? A brief update from the Garden City Chamber of Commerce. Apologies, Mr. Wilton, if you want to come up. A lot happening.
Better than it used to be.
A lot of new
John Wilson,
businesses.
Chamber of Commerce. Lot to go over. I'll do it brief. I have to run to another hearing, so I'll try to be brief. Trustee Muldoon and trustee Courtney, we're going to be getting together, hopefully with the businesses by the end of August, the first week in September. Try to pull them all together, New Hyde Park Road, Franklin Avenue and Seventh Street. So we're working on doing that. And outdoor, yes, thank you. Okay. Homecoming, we're trying to make a decision. In the past, if you remember, we would have the homecoming with the high school, and then we would have about 50 to 60 vendors at the end of the block. We're trying to make that decision, reaching out, for example, the gentleman where we had the train and all those things, he no longer has them and can't get them repaired. So there's things that we used to do that we can't do for other reasons. So we're debating on whether or not we'll just have the homecoming parade and not have the vendors. So I'll keep you abreast of that, but right now we're unsure. Kudos to the commissioner and his staff. I did tell my wife that after 9 years, I would be home on Friday night. I'm not home on Friday night yet, but I'm almost home on Friday night. But I will tell you, if you look at the mechanics of what's happening with the commissioner and his personnel, it hasn't negatively affected the business community yet, as it's mostly on the north side of the street. And there is a certain benefit because TCBY, Pizzeria G, the smaller ticket items of price are still getting residual income from the attendees, the younger attendees. Be this as it may, my interns are telling me that on the social agendas and the networking events that are out there, they're saying the police presence is much more visible, and that they're trying, that may be discouraging, although last Friday night, I think there might have been 400. But I leave and Judy comes, so that's how I calibrate things. Ivorone is hoping to open up the third week. Murphy's Law, I'm going to say September. Okay, same thing with Tap Room, third week. I know you're going next week to meet them. They'll probably be on target. Lagufa soon. It's the word I'm getting, soon, but they did have a friends and family dinner tasting, so I'm assuming everything's up and running. We have 5 ribbon cuttings coming up, mostly office ribbon cuttings from professional offices, okay? So if you can make it, you can. They're not the glitzy ones where it's outside and it's visible. These are in office buildings, whatever, but they contribute significantly to the value of the community, our tax base, the value of our homes, and more importantly, as membership. Again, Commissioner, I have to say, what you've done is very helpful to the community. Garden City Hotel is celebrating its 150th wedding anniversary. I spoke to wedding anniversary. Could be wedding. I spoke with Kelly earlier. I'm going to try to coordinate with her on us. I know that Congressman D'Esposito wants to do something. I believe the Delphi will get on board. I'll work with you as diligently as can. The village will get on board. The chamber will get on board. I don't know the extent of what the hotel is doing yet. They don't know yet either. So it's going to be at some point in September. The men's lacrosse team was honored at the White House. All right, from Adelphi, okay, for winning the NCAA Division II championship. It's their eighth championship, so it's pretty historic. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to hopefully have, if you can find time, we're going to somehow recognize them in October. I coordinated that with Adelphi today because the seniors have already graduated. The new freshmen are coming in, and maybe some of the seniors will come back. So I'll give you the dates and the times and everything, but I think they need to get recognized as a hometown university, and it's significant to our success. And I'm going to go off topic, but I'll be brief because I do have to run. I've spent about 30 hours in the last 10 days emptying out the toll house. I'm not asking for, I'll say it as best I can. I'm blown away by what I'm finding. I'm finding stuff from long before any of us were born. So I have the interns and I have their friends helping me and going through things, but I'm taking time to read things. And I'm looking at what the chambers, our predecessors, did to benefit this community. It is mind-blowing what the things I'm finding and done. And I think that I look at us basically not potentially having the toll house back is disheartening. I volunteer dozens of hours a week, not looking for recognition. My family supports me in doing this. When the toll house is done, my board, my executive board, and my board of directors feel that there was a schism between the chamber and the last board. My presentation to my board is this new board, using the word new, is trying to mend the perception of that schism, whether it exists or not. And this is an awakening for me, emptying out the toll house. It's an awakening to see what our chamber has done. If you ever have the time, it's hundreds of hours, thousands of hours of these people from World War II, World War I, street beautification, things that were done, things that would just, you'd be amazed at the contributions our predecessors did to make our village the garden that it is. So I very much hope and pray that at the end of the day, when this is done, this board understands that your chamber, our chamber, this village's chamber, okay, our citizens' chamber, truly does help our community be as stable as it is, develop the economy of the residential community, the commercial community. You want to use it as the restaurant community because we are becoming restaurant centric. That's why we have to have this meeting, because our restaurants need to be, educated on what we want. So I ask, and you please take this into deep consideration, because I don't know if anybody's ever owned a boat. I had a boat for 13 years. I had a Sea Ray. When you get rid of a boat, you're amazed to see how much stuff is on the boat. I'm amazed at how much stuff is in the chamber, okay? Long before Althea was there, I don't know if Althea is still here. All right. It's amazing. I've actually had 3 dump trucks come and taken that much stuff out of the chamber, but I'm trying to keep, we'll go through it with Bill as well, some of the stuff. So I do say to you, look, we're on the same team. I'm a volunteer, you're a volunteer. We're all doing this for the betterment of the community. I have too much stuff scattered in too many places to operate effectively as a chamber. So I'm not going to implore, I'm going to ask, as an executive that runs the Chamber of Commerce, that you, who are the executives that run the village community and the village governance, to look at why I'm petitioning you. Okay. And I leave it at that, because it's important to me. It's very important to my board. My board takes exception. As you notice, my board doesn't come to the meetings. Okay. They take exception to the fact that this has transpired, and they have their own beliefs and reasons, and I try to be the rudder behind the boat. Also, I'll end on this note, because I know that we were at the Sands at the meeting the other day. I just want you to know, the Nassau Council of Chambers, they had a meeting this morning. I couldn't attend it, but they are still advocating across the board, representing that they're supporting the Sands development. And I have expressed to them again yesterday that, I did not, when I was petitioned, I remained my neutrality. And I thought they were overstepping their bounds by saying the other communities, because if you look at Great Neck or the other places, they're ambivalent. They really could care less. But be it as it may, it's not where we want to be as a village, but it is where we're at. So anyway, thank you for your time, and please let what I say not fall on deaf ears. Okay, my board and my staff and we're doing what's the right thing to do. Falls in your court. You're it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Welton. And it would be wonderful if Garden City Chamber of Commerce could take a position in opposition to the casino. I think we all know how negatively our local businesses right here would be impacted by a mega casino at the Nassau Hub. So thank you, though, but
I'll be very brief with that.
I know it's a hard,
I can't, I wish I could. And let me just say this about the business community. I have polled the business community. I have polled them. I've spoken to the principals, the owners, and the landlords, the owners of the property. I would say across the board, there's more ambivalence on their part towards it being developed. And their reluctance to get involved is because it's not an important thing in their concept, in their grasp. It's not of significance. So I understand how we feel, or you feel, but I don't think the business community has the same sentiment that the village government has. And that's a really honest statement, that clear as I can.
So you're saying the businesses in town, the restaurants, the stores
they're
and
not-
stuff could care less? that the
I didn't say
casino-
care less. They're ambivalent's a great word, because who's going to go to the casino to buy a slice of pizza in the pizzeria owner's mind? who's gonna go buy a burger at the casino in his mind? Granted, will it take people? We don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm just telling you that that's the sentiment of the business community. So it is what it is.
Thank you, Mr. Welton. All right, do we have any citizens in the room with comments on agenda items? Yes, you're up.
Good evening. Randy Colahan, Chairman of the Library Board. With me tonight are three, besides the library director, are three other library trustees. That makes 4 out of 5. We have a quorum if you want to have a meeting. I had a speech, but don't have to give it anymore. Thank you for your support. I will add a carrot or make the pill easier to swallow. We have an additional $10,000 promised us from Assemblyman Ed Ra, in addition to $30,000. I polled the library trustees today. 4 of the 5, a verbal vote, agreed to put that 10,000 to this, so make the net down to 26,000. So hopefully that makes it a little easy to swallow. Just a couple of facts. The library carpet was redone in June 2003. 21 years ago. Actually, I was on the board already by then. But 21 years ago, we get about 110,000 sets of feet a year in patron. That means over 2 million sets of feet have used that carpet since then. We joined several comparable libraries this year now in replacing the carpet. Rockville Center, Syosset, Shelter Rock are all libraries comparable that we could compare to, and now we join that group. Thank you for that. I will add one other, just a comment that was made by Trustee Harrington. You and I go way back working together in Centennials and the estates, and I'd be happy to discuss your comment on budget because we have a budget committee. And I look at the budget too, having preceded being the chairman of that committee. We watch that budget diligently to look for surpluses. The only area that we run into overuse is legal. And unfortunately, those are many times unanticipated expenses that we have nothing to do with control. But I'd happy to go through and review that as well with the budget committee. So thank you. And thank you again for your support. Good evening.
Thank you for
Yeah.
all of your work for the library for so many years.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciated.
Thanks.
Randy, I want to chime in on that.
Yeah.
I talked to Randy today, 23 years. That's a huge commitment to the library, and it's people like you and a lot of other people in this room that put in a lot of hard work to make these places what they are. So I certainly appreciate that. And you still get your carpet on the first floor and second floor. So
Thank you. Thank you.
you're good
And
to
there's
go.
no I in team. Right? Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. Good evening.
Any other citizen comments on agenda items in the room? None. Any comments on Zoom on agenda items? Okay.
Hey, good evening, Steve Elodie, Meadow Street. Just a comment on the library carpeting. I hope there's a plan in place, especially during the winter when they salt or sand the sidewalks to, in a timely manner, vacuum the carpeting. So the sand and salt is not in the building, damaging the carpet. There's been many times in the past where the sand would sit on the carpeting for days without being vacuumed. So I hope there's a plan in place for that not to take place after we spend this money on new carpeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alardi. Anyone else on Zoom with
Let
a
me just
comment?
Respond.
oh,
Mr.
sure.
Lardy, as you know, the entrance to the library is going to be redone. And the entrance actually is what is referred to as a sally port. And the best way to protect the indoor carpeting is to have a suitable entrance carpet between the two outer and inner entrances and make sure that those are in fact vacuumed and cleaned on a periodic basis. One of the topics that is befuddling everyone is the ability to have the right and sufficient cleaning personnel. And somehow along the line, we'll have to work on that to make sure that the cleaning of the carpet is done in a periodic basis so that in fact it does not go inside the carpet as you have mentioned.
I got an idea. Maybe we can get everybody to take off their shoes in the wintertime.
If we were Japan,
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one with the salt and the sand.
All right, thank you. Any other on Zoom, any other citizen comments on agenda items? None? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the June 20th, 2024 Board of Trustees meeting? All in favor? That passes with 6 votes. Do we have a motion to approve the July 11th, 2024 Special Board of Trustees meeting minutes? All in favor? That also passes with 6 votes. Do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar minus number 7, which was removed and voted on separately? All in favor? And that passes with 6 votes. And do we have any citizen comments in the room on? Oh, we'll go to the formal agenda. All right, do we have a motion to set the date for the public hearing? A scheduled public hearing regarding local law to amend chapter 200, article 8, section 200-45.3 of the Code of the Village of Garden City regarding supplementary use regulations for solar energy systems. All in favor? That passes with 6 votes. And the second item on the formal agenda, do we have a motion to approve board authorization to advertise for volunteers to serve on the St. Paul's Board of Trustees Advisory Committee? All in favor? That passes unanimously. All right, and now do we have any citizen comments on non-agenda items? Anyone in the room? Yes.
Good evening, everybody. Andrew D. Chamel, the Garden City. Really quick about the casino, come up with an alternative. Let's see. The planet is warming, but not because of oil and gas, but because of aircraft spraying of mostly aluminum gas into the atmosphere, known as chemtrails, which create a greenhouse effect and neutralize the ozone layer of the atmosphere, allowing to reach Earth more and more ultraviolet radiation from the sun. In addition, this spraying is poisoning the planet. All authorities and spokespersons are under a gag order never to speak about this issue. Mayor, did you receive and get a chance to review my June 27, 24 letter to Dr. Paul F. Callahan? I mailed you the letter.
I would have to check my records on that, but you can continue with your comment.
Okay. Continuing with that letter, the love a small child has for their parent is the original miracle, a commandment from God that the child is to instead honor their parent is a shot through the heart. Give me a second here. Did you get a chance to review my June 15th, 24 letter to the Library Board of Trustees? I handed you that letter.
Okay, I don't have my records. You can continue with your comment.
Will any action be taken by the village board to restore my use of the library?
Okay, I'm not going to comment on that. You can continue.
Not gonna comment, okay. Yeah, okay. Just give me a second. In the process of banning me from the library, Randy Colahan of the Garden City Public Library has violated his oath of office, the New York State and federal Constitution repeatedly and happily. There's never any discovery, confrontation clause violated, never being told of an accusation prior to suspension. Can Randy Colahan, who is left-handed, produce a single person available to testify to the village board with a reason why I should be banned from patronizing the library? He's here right now. You could ask him when I'm done. Okay. Okay. Did you get a chance to review my May 29, 24 hand-printed letter to Mr. Swazi, purpose of which to give
that you make an informed decision regarding my $3 million restitution request. Did you get that letter?
I also don't have the records, but you can continue with your comments.
Okay. C2. Has it- Has there been any discussion regarding my request?
I'm sorry, I think you're referring to a library board matter and this is village
This,
board
this,
meeting.
this is the restitution request. Okay, all right. Okay, okay. Well, you know of the McDermott
continue.
episode. I gave you a stack of documents about that. There's also the Mary Pierpoint episode, the Jay McCann episode, the Lori Ann episode, and the Brian Ridgway episode. During all of these other episodes, I mailed to the mayor and board at that time a thick stack of documents related to these cases. Okay. Mr. Swazi, I have a question for you. To your knowledge, did Brian Ridgway leaving his position as village clerk have anything to do with me?
I have no comment. I have no knowledge or comment. Mr. Smith.
Okay, you have no knowledge.
Okay,
You're
we're at the
stating you have no
4-minute mark,
knowledge.
sir.
Yeah.
It's 4 minutes, sir, so your time is expired.
4 minutes, I just.
What's a bit over 4 minutes? All right, any other resident comments on non-agenda items? Yes. Oh, we have, Althea's coming up.
Steve, I think Althea's coming.
Okay, okay. Steve Gray.
Ladies first. Always defer to a woman. I've learned that through marriage. We all have. Steve Garay, Cambridge Avenue, still here. Good evening, board members, and happy Christmas in July. As a senior, I am perplexed and disturbed by a letter July 12th in the Garden City News by Ryan Mulrooney entitled Alternative Ideas for St. Paul's. I do not know if Mr. Mulrooney is still a resident or not, but whether he is or not, the letter is there. And it espouses what he says is a position of the St. Paul's Alliance. My concern is, as a senior, that he seems to suggest that the senior center is no longer going to be for seniors. Seniors are going to be, in effect, evicted so that some unquantified number of students for pre-K will not have to be bused to Shelter Rock, but instead will take over the senior center. The suggestion is that the seniors can go to St. Paul's. Where is there any place at St. Paul's right now or in the immediate future that the seniors can go and be in St. Paul's, assuming that that is what is determined as the outcome of this search for what is to do with St. Paul's? The good news in this letter is it seems that, at least the suggestion is, that the Alliance is no longer taking a position that pre-K is going to go to St. Paul's, nor should it, because it would violate parkland. Other good news in this letter is, luckily, it doesn't seem like there's any more question about the safety of the senior center. If it's good enough, as he suggests, for pre-K kids to go in, then it's certainly safe enough for the seniors. The senior center should stay for the seniors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garay. Any other comments?
Althea Robinson, Garden Street, Garden City. I think this is no secret, so I think I'm allowed to say it. In regards to the library, I just want to make an announcement. I just want to say that for all of the work that he has done over the years as chairman of the board of the library, as well as many other of the community services to which he has contributed, the Mineola Garden City Rotary Club is honoring Randy Callahan as for community service at an event which we will hold on December 18th, and it's no secret, so I'm not letting it out, but you'll be hearing a lot more about it. And I'm so happy that members of the board are here tonight. I know that they're aware of it.
Thank you. That is very well deserved.
Good evening. Sue Rayner, Heath Place. Could the board or anybody tell me what's going on with the family court building? There was a gentleman here a few meetings ago who asked about the driveway that was being put in. That driveway is in, it's right off of Washington, not far off of Washington. We're having trouble now with the traffic going off our block to get onto 11th Street. It's really getting dangerous there. They said it wasn't going to be a driveway for in and out. That's a tremendous driveway. Could somebody explain to us what's
Mr.
going on?
Giovanelli?
We're all together on this. Yes, that driveway is Nassau County. They're using it for emergency purposes only to get their emergency vehicles. So will not be used as an everyday access or entry or an exit. It's only being used for emergency access.
Really?
Yes,
Okay. We'll see. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments in the room on non-agenda items? Any comments on Zoom on non-agenda items? No comments? Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I just wanted to say I had put an item on for the discussion tonight.
Oh, your microphone's not on.
I had put an item on the agenda for discussion tonight, which was taken off, but I'd like to follow through and have it on. One of the things that has concerned me was the engagement of the Ruskin Moscow law firm for a decision that was revolved around St. Paul's and the Conservancy. And what concerns me is I have found that sometimes we seem to be acting out of the parameters of the retainers of agreements that we have for certain law firms. And I just want to know that I'd like to have it brought up for discussion in August or September.
So you had put that on. I didn't actually realize it was you, but it was deferred as the member of the legal committee who's still on the board is on vacation. So as I mentioned, I'm happy to, talk to you about it. I do not think we did in any way, veer from what we were supposed to do, and happy to discuss it and for the legal committee to discuss it with you.
Yeah, it's important.
Ralph, I have one last thing before we fold the tent. More stuff with the residents. We've talked about this. Can you give me an update on the railroad cleaning up the tracks, especially for the people on South St. James, North St. James, and the derelict building that's been sitting there by Country Life Press that we've discussed? I know the railroad has been, to say the least, not cooperative to get these things at least done or start discussions on them. Can you give us the public a quick 1-minute analogy the best you can, sir? Thank you.
Okay, so basically, we have a liaison with the railroad. I'm on my second liaison with the railroad. When we have issues with the railroad that come to us from trustees or residents, or something we observe ourselves as department heads. Bless you.
Bless you, Mayor.
Bless you.
Bless you.
We call, text, or send an email to the liaison, and we usually have someone meet us on the site. They've been responsive, I'd say, overall, pretty responsive. The particular problems you're talking about, though, so the St. James Place, back in March, before you're actually a trustee, you had us looking into that on behalf of the residents. And that was before the greenery filled in, and there was a lot of building materials there, timber that they use under the tracks, shrink wrapped containers, gallon containers. There was some litter, which probably blew there more than got dropped there. Nonetheless, we asked it to be cleaned up back on March 28th of this year. Our liaison did send a crew in there to pick up some of the litter, but the larger items, it was explained to me that they regularly use their right-of-way to store materials. I believe projects happen and they don't necessarily take it away. They do this all along their thousands of miles of tracks or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I did request that the stuff be moved further east, about a quarter mile around Commercial Avenue where no resident impact would be. I did contact the liaison today, Ms. Fasano. He said he had been by there. He didn't see anything. Could I send some more information? So I'm going to go down there myself tomorrow.
I'll go with you.
You can join me, so. I just want to make sure the public understand this is not our property. We cannot go on railroad property and clean. We can't send our union employees in there to do it. It could generate a grievance we don't need. And they have a union as well that might cause a problem. So I did ask that a work order be put in because they have a lot of track work to do. I asked they put a work order in, so maybe eventually it's maybe in the fall or spring, but to move this material out of there before, it's going to be visible again when the growing season ends. As far as the Country Life Press building, sir, back in December of 22, December 7th or so, the Country Life Press, the railroad had some capital funds to expend on 5 of its lease, assets they don't use much anymore. Country Life Press being one of them. They wanted to abate it and knock it down and put a small I'll call it a bus station, a shelter. So they put a plaza there. They would take care of any ADA compliance issues. The board at the time, they offered us the ability to take over the building, the abatement of it and the maintenance of it, which we didn't proceed to. The board at the time wanted to get neighborhood feedback. They walked the streets. The mayor and possibly Bruce Chester were part of that team. Larry Marciano was at the time. They walked around, got the neighbors' feedback. The neighbors didn't want the plaza and the gathering place. And the railroad, December 15th came and went. We didn't enter an agreement with them. So they took their capital money and put it somewhere else because they have tremendous amount of capital needs. So that building sits there. We do regularly communicate with them though. Back in September, there was a gutter hanging. They responded to it, took it down. The only thing we can do, and I've talked to Mr. Blake about this, we could plant trees in front of it and try to hide it. I did ask Ms. Fasano if we could talk about it again, and he said, if you want to talk about transferring the building to the village for a nominal fee, that we could discuss that. But, we'd have to abate it and maintain it. So that's where that is. And also occasionally the trains, when the timber work on Edgemere Trestle was being done, they parked their work trains right opposite the homes. That was back in April. I asked them to please move them further east again. The request goes in, it's not always listened to, but we do engage with them regularly. Sometimes we get good responses. It's sometimes a little slower than we want, sometimes not at all.
Yeah. Now, we've talked about this, but I just wanted to let the public know because I've got a lot of inquiries again about that, and it's completely unfair for our residents to have to look at their debris. It's leftover construction debris that's strewn all over, especially that section. Pallets, pipes, just, at least put it all in one pile and cover it with some plywood so it's at least not a complete eyesore. But it just seems like, no disrespect, they just obviously don't care. And it's, again, it sticks in a lot of people's craw that they have to look at their leftover junk that they leave in the tracks. It's a clear view, especially in that South St. James and North St. James. So let's keep the pressure on as best we can. Any help we can be as a board to continue to apply pressure to get them just to clean up their stuff and be respectful to our residents. And having a derelict property that's belonged to the railroad, again, they don't see it. They don't live in town. They could care less.
Well, that's the
But,
same
yeah.
thing that happened with the third track.
Yeah.
And I
They
just
could
want
ca-
to,
They could care less and we were after them for that. So usually Nick Fasano is pretty responsive
Yeah, so let's see if we could maybe even get a meeting with Nick, because again, we can't have derelict properties just sitting in the middle of our village year after year after year. We eventually have to put pressure on to resolve it somehow. I know it's not easy, but let's continue to do everything we can, and any help we can be, we're here to help, so.
I just
Just,
want to,
actually, let me, because I think one thing may have been left out of that I want to make clear. We had an offer from the railroad. We did, Larry Marciano and I knocked on every door in that neighborhood when they were thinking of development. It was overwhelming input from people who lived right there, that they did not want anything built up. They didn't want a building there. They didn't want the shelter, anything like that. They wanted it to remain the quiet station that it has been. And after getting that input, we had a board vote 7-1, in which we agreed that they were offering to take down the building. I think it was about $500,000 because it's contaminated. There was abatement involved, and we were agreeing to let them do that. And we wanted to just have beautiful shrubs there, nice and thick. And shortly after that, there was a phone call to the Long Island Railroad by a resident objecting to the historical
oh,
significance
I forgot about that.
that
yes.
that stopped them from doing that for us. So we had an opportunity there to have it beautifully, just as the resident wanted, fixed up. They were going to take care of that dilapidated building. And this threat came from within our community, sadly, and put the brakes on that. So that's some history that's, I think, terribly unfortunate.
Yeah, I think,
I
Rob, you
forgot-
told me about that, actually. You told me that story.
Yeah, I forgot about the SHPO piece. Thank you, Mayor. I didn't, I left
It's a
that
big
out.
piece because we can't go
Yeah.
blaming them.
That-
They were ready to do the right.
That's why the
thing.
railroad walked away ultimately. One other thing is that Ms. Fasano, as our liaison, is very responsive, but he's in a big organization, so he runs it up the flagpole, doesn't always get saluted. I just want to say
Fine,
that
I
we have a
give
great
you that.
relationship with our liaison. It's a big organization, and getting assets and manpower and money
Yeah.
towards some of these things that are important to us don't necessarily hit the radar screen on the MTA or the railroad sometimes.
Okay, well, like, my point is, let's not just forget about it. Let's try and re-engage as best we can. Might take some time, but let's try and re-engage them and at least try and create a plan that hopefully will work for them and work for the village, because we can't allow that building. It's a terrible eyesore to the village and people going to the train and people who live in that area. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for everything.
We tried, the board voted, overwhelmingly to try and help remedy that. Actually, I had already made the motion to adjourn the meeting. Is it,
Just have two things.
yeah, you can make if you want to make a quick comment, we did open up a whole other topic,
to
sure.
this Because Mr. Swazi was kind enough, I don't know if you remember. You called me on a Saturday night because I had some inquiries about this. And just to shed a little more light on it, I called New York State Department of Parks. And one of the problems was because of the dispute about the designation of the building, I was told by the Department of Parks that there would have to be an adverse impact statement filed by the Long Island Railroad. And so what I think happened is, well, we can spend our money elsewhere. Why should we bother with this? So they kind of dropped the ball because of this. So it's certainly not the fault of anybody in the village that this didn't go forward. It's the way that things happen. Now, if you pursue this further, contacting New York State, the Department of Parks, relating to what the status of that building is, may be helpful in trying to solve the problem and helping the railroad to do what they're supposed to do. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, so at this point, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting? All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Good night, everyone.